All right, folks. Sorry about the delay. We had an issue with internet. We're here at Obscurity Brewing in beautiful Elburn. We have Carson Souza, the head brewer at Obscurity Brewing, with us. We're going to go through a 6 beer tasting, virtual tasting. You guys follow along with us. Don't feel like you have to finish all these beers in one sitting. You know, just pace yourself and have a good time. This is the tasting for the Illinois section of the American Water Works Association. My contact was Annie Story. Hi, Annie. Sorry about the lateness. We will start going right away, and we'll go through some beers and find out a little bit about the brewery and what's going on out here. All right. Carson, do me a favor. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your background real quick.
Hey guys, Carson, brewmaster here at Obscurity Brewery. Brief synopsis, East Coast guy, grew up on the Atlantic Ocean in New Jersey. Musician, went to Berklee College of Music and Philadelphia College of Music. Then somehow was bound to restaurant industry, held and maintained a job in every facet of the restaurant industry. Just about 90% of it, and now am a 12-year commercial brewer. We're just shy of a year now. The whole project, though, about 3.5 years.
All right, and are you guys open for regular business for COVID, or what's going on with that?
So obviously, like many restaurants in the country, COVID did have a direct impact on us, but we have fought through it. We've planned and strategized and done anything to manipulate any way we could to try to create revenue for ourselves so we didn't fall into the water. And we've done a good job at that, and we are now living in a prosperous regain, and we are very, very optimistic towards the future currently.
All right, so let's start with this first beer. It's a Farmhouse ale called Passion Saison, or Passion Season. It's a Farmhouse ale. You show us the can real quick?
I can. I'm not quite sure. Up or down, guess.
All right, yeah, we got it.
So that's our can, Passion Season. So this is a mix between Belgian and Farmhouse yeast strains. And I use like a 65 bricks organic Passionfruit concentrate, which we blended with the finished product to make what you're drinking currently. Gross.
So what are we tasting here then?
Right now you're tasting a multitude of things on your palate. I think there's a bit of bubblegum and banana, slight little spice of clove, and then you're getting just this mildly sweet passion fruit, juicy end, and a little bit of citrus hops in there. I think it just plays well with that passion fruit, and it kind of just spreads along.
Yeah, I get a little sweetness off it. What do you think, Kara? What's up? Yeah, the passion fruit is right off the top. Is this a one-off? Is this a seasonal? I mean, how often do you guys brew this stuff?
Here at Obscurity, I try to create anything when I run a one-off. I try to create something that could be branded. So I would absolutely re-engage in this beer. I love it personally as the brewer. And also I've heard the consumer basis, extremely excited about it. I hope you guys all enjoy.
All right, so this Farmhouse ale comes in at 7.1%. That's a pretty big punch in the mouth.
It is.
Yes.
So, you know, that's a great statement. You know, farmhouses can range in these strains in alcohol percentages. I thought that this was just kind of very fitting. It's more stake in the dark to my malt bill. And this is what we got, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Is there any artificial flavoring in this, or this all straight?
Negative. There is no artificial flavoring.
All right. How long does this particular beer take to brew from start to finish to can?
This is an ale, so two different types of beer, and we won't really go into that unless provoked. Ale and lager, and this is an ale. So I could get this into can in roughly 3 weeks from start to finish.
All right.
Great question.
This is awesome. This is awesome. So since we're with the Water Association, tell us about the water around here.
The water is horrid.
Yeah.
It is a local Midwest small town well water. Currently for water gains, I'll say at this point. Now, obviously, with the Water Association, we create our own water here from a profile. But yes, everything is absolutely run through a 5-stage carbon filter on the brew side. So it's a very iron, heavy, rust, calcium. When I cook the calcium out of the water in the hot liquor tank, we're looking at roughly, after about a quarter of a year, we're looking at literally a quarter of an inch of calcium built up around my hot liquor jacket and the walls of the hot liquor tank. Post carbon filter. pH-wise, we're running roughly around 7.
So you treat the water before you brew then?
So I do. One thing that I've learned as a commercial brewer is if you can build world-class beers on extremely hard water, then when you go to create a water table and make that water for that individual batch of beer, you're able to really go leaps and bounds. So right now what I'm doing is running through a carbon filter, and I'm cooking out most of the calcium to a smaller parts per million, and trying to brew beers on that individual water. However, we do switch different variants of making water tables per beer.
Thank you. That's very informative. Yeah, I like this. I can only do 1 or 2 of these, or else I'd be in a little trouble. Let's see. What do we got next in the beer lineup? Okay, so we fell into Obscurity is the next beer. And let's transition here. And this is a wheat beer with an ABV of 5.6.
And a pH of 4.8, roughly.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about this beer.
This is a Belgian wit, done a little more Americanized. A Belgian wit beer is usually a wheat beer with a super phenolic flavor characteristic from Belgian yeast. And there is an immense amount of wheat in it. So I Americanized it a little bit harder. A little less wheat, a little more superior Pils malt, and shot for that really coriander finish. So let's taste it, and I'll walk you through the profile.
Live chat.
So on the nose, I get the Blue Moon-esque characteristics. It's a lot brighter than a Blue Moon, and what I mean by bright is we could see through it. There's less haze in this beer. let's go ahead on the palate and discuss what's going on in the palate.
It has that wheat taste. Yeah, I get it. That's what's definitive to me.
So, it's another ride. It's kind of funny that we chose these beers back to back because both of them have super phenolic resonance. This beer itself, though, has a little bit of bitterness. It has coriander. I get a Belgian phenolic resonance that's very haystack, pepper, spice. And that's essentially what the Belgian wit is. It's a peppery, phenolic clove flavor, where I feel like we've kind of just went a little deeper and it's a little more bitter, has that American hop presence, but still holds the guidelines of a traditional Belgian wit beer.
What's the season for this type of beer?
So anyone would say all year. I would say this is a great spring, 3-season warm time beer. You know, warm season beer, personally.
Yeah, right.
You know, but you could drink it throughout the year.
But so this is 3 weeks for this beer?
Once again, ale, roughly 2 weeks fermentation. Could be shorter, and a week of worth of conditioning between fermenter.
So it's 3 weeks to drink or 3 weeks to can?
Great question. If it's going in a can, it's ready to drink. If it's going in a keg, it's ready to drink. Roughly around 2 days after into conditioning tank, which we call a bright tank, you're ready to consume. Because the beer will be finally conditioned to that point.
So you said that's coriander in there?
I put a nice shot of ground coriander in that beer as a dry hop addition.
So how big of a batch did you do this last time?
That's a 15-barrel batch, roughly 465 gallons.
So how many roughly cans is that, or 6-packs or 4-packs or whatever?
It's enough to fill up a cooler, and it's also enough to be gone currently. So we did really well on that.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm not sure if you got your hands on that, Gus, at Hy-Vee, but I'd imagine that it's either going to show on your portfolio or be...
Yeah, right on. That's what I'm going to take a break real quick, guys, and explain to you my background. I'm the assistant manager of the wine and spirits at Hy-Vee in Sycamore, and that's how we came to meet everyone over in Obscurity. We carry their product there, so if you ever want to get their product, you can either get it at the brewery or get it over at Hy-Vee. Plus your other fine liquor stores around your house. So, folks, just so you know too, you can type in live chat if you have if you registered for an account. If you have any questions, just shoot them off.
Yeah, water people, I'd love for you to educate me, question me. I'm not the best molecular water guy, so I have grown and I study constantly. So
what's the shelf life on this type of beer?
On this type of beer, we'll go longer. You could get a really QC approval of 6 months or better.
All right.
In package. In keg, I've seen things last of this nature up to a year.
Yeah. So, you personally, what do you, when you consider this the shelf life is shot? What's the taste?
On this individual beer, or
just any beer in general? What's the taste? What's the off taste?
That's a great question, guys. There's a ton of there's a huge reality behind old hops. People have a hard time deciphering whether the hop is old or new or oxidized. Freshness of hops, I really like to put to 30 to 60 days, 90 at the most. If you think the beer is bad, you'll start tasting a cardboard character. And to be honest, Gus, there's like 100 things that you could taste.
Yeah.
To be that the beer is bad. Usually, if a beer has a multitude of IBUs in it, which are international bitter units, which means a plethora of hops. The beer has a faster deterioration rate.
I'm trying to read something right here. All right, so what people use for use a slice of orange with their beers. Where did that come from? Where did that come from with their wheat beer for their Blue Moons?
That's a characteristic of the Belgian wit beer and style. So it's something I didn't create. It's something that I wanted to achieve though in the beer. So I think it comes back to monastery, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's a monk thing.
All right.
Coriander is a pretty prevalent seed in gardening. Obviously, cilantro.
All right. So how did you? I got a question in chat. How did you get into making beer? What started you off?
College, being poor. That's a great question. I've been a food and bev guy my whole life, and in college, I was living in a 3-flat in Boston, 3 floors, an old Victorian up in Mission Hill, if any of you are familiar with the Boston region, up right on the corner of Brigham Circle. And I was just involved with a lot of intrinsic and well-exposed people at that point. I've always liked beer and food and beverage, and started fermenting some cider. That was the first stab at it, and then kind of went from there, and then being, in every facet of the food and beverage industry, I just took a liking to it, I feel like, and then I just really, really said, fuck it, this is what I'm going to do. Sorry, I'm vulgar. At least you didn't get a ripoff.
So in this last beer, is there any artificial or it's all natural flavors
Negative.
to it?
There's no artificial flavor.
Yeah, it's just the coriander is the little
100% ground coriander. I don't know the wheat bill, but the yeast is the Belgian Omega Belgian yeast, and all the ingredients are pure malted barley, pure white wheat.
All right, so let's push on to the next one, folks. We're going at a decent pace right now. Okay, so the next one is going to be Good Kiss. All right, so Good Kiss is an American IPA with an ABV of 6.1%. So what can you tell us about this Good Kiss, besides it being over 5%?
So as you see, I'm actually drinking this one out of the can. This is my drinker. So this is a very complex beer that I take a lot of pride in. I've formulated this beer in a multitude of variants, and I have deployed this beer in 2 different variants. One being a normal beer and one being a Braggot style beer. What a Braggot is a cross between a mead and a beer. I've used a locally sourced, in a tri-state area, buckwheat honey. I have fermented that honey with a normal base style fermentables of an IPA, and I have dry hopped and bittering hopped this with Citra and Mosaic hops. This is a beer that we have decided to try to consider a core brand where we make it year round. And I hope to God that we do, because I really enjoy this beer. The artwork was originally designed as a premise when we released it without package about a year ago, or over a year and a half ago. We released it when I was hijacking a friend's brewery. And what I mean by hijack is I brought my own ingredients and I brewed my own beer there. There's a difference. There's a contract brew and there's a hijacking. I hijacked. I did not pay anyone to make my beer. I did not pay anyone to design my beer. I paid a guy for some space in his brewery, who's also a world-class brewer and awesome as well. As awesome as this beer. So, when I, in return, made this beer again this year, I have tried to make it complex and different in a multitude of variants, but I hope you all enjoy. I get citrus, I get earth, I get grass, I get fruit.
All right.
You can taste the buckwheat honey. It's very earthy. It almost tastes like farmland, but it's in an essence. It's not up front.
We're gonna do it.
It's got still a little residual sweetness. So, cheers.
So is this a East Coast or West Coast juiciness?
This is either
All right.
or neither.
Neither.
I have been huge in the factor of still obtaining isomerization, which is your bitterness in the water of how long you boil, versus what we call biotransformation hop additions, which are added right at the beginning of fermentation. So the yeast cells essentially grab onto this hop and make it more juicy. So I kind of found a middle ground on this, I feel.
How do you guys come up with the names for this stuff?
This, there was a song by this beer. So we come up with different names across the board. Basically, me and one other guy, our marketing guy, I pretty much let him go full reins. But when I have something that I am very firm about, I express that to him, and he says, okay. So this, Good Kiss, is based upon some personal stuff in my life, but then also a song by a really cool New England-based band called Lake Street Dive, and the song is called Good Kisser. And we didn't want to just kind of rip them off, but we paid homage. I paid homage in designing this beer in regards to the Good Kisser song. And Riley Steffen, I believe I'm pronouncing her name right, who's the better half of one of our partners here, Dane, the design and marketing guy, came up with this artwork, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And it's all kind of a subconscious, subliminal thing in the world that we would call my mind.
So I got a question in chat. Okay, so this is a meadery also.
Okay, so we are a Braggot and brewery here, and then across the street we're opening a meadery. We have designed, and we are literally 30 days from opening that meadery.
Awesome. Can you explain to the folks out there what a mead is?
Okay, a mead is a honey wine. Can you see me better now, guys?
Yeah.
Guys, sit back.
No, you're good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So a mead is a honey wine. Basically, honey, yeast, water. That's our basic mead. But then we create and ferment all types of sugars and different adjuncts into that mead to create a totally different beast.
And so what's the law in Illinois? I know there's a law that you guys can't do meads in the same building or something like that, or simplify it.
No comment.
All right. All right.
Love you, Illinois.
All right, folks. Give me a second. We're gonna take a little intermission. Let everyone go to the restroom, do what they got to do, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right.
Good job.
Here is supposed to be launch juice.
That is not much.
No, it's not. Do you know where launch juice might be?
You can look in the cooler. I'm pretty sure it's gone. I can go look up front.
All right. So what's We got a different beer.
Yeah, let me look.
Hear me? All right, folks, we are back. Hold on for a second. There you go. And we found a can of launch juice. So that's the next one. Beer number 4, launch juice. It's a New England IPA. It's a 6.7% ABV. And we'll go through this one. All right. So
Launch
Carson,
juice,
tell us about launch juice.
Launch Juice has been one of our core beers from the beginning, from very first day. We wanted to come up with a series of beers that were all space kind of intertwined. So if you see on the art label, you know, it's a lot. We're launching off into space, and that's the start of the series. That beer is comprised of Trident hops, Citra hops. It is a lactose-based. It has lactose in it. It has oats, corn. What I think you really get is a great hop profile with zero bitterness. Very juice characteristic, nice and smooth, great drink.
All right, so what are we smelling on this?
I get passion fruit, mango, citrus, oranges, pineapple. We also ferment that with a yeast that's called Kvike. It's a Hornadel Kvike yeast. It's a crazy hybrid Norwegian strain of yeast that ferments in 24 hours. It's nuts. It's absolutely bonkers for all you home brewers. You'll literally go 10 points of gravity in one night.
All right, so what is gravity for the people out there that don't realize?
Gravity is the viscosity of fermented alcohol. So if there's more sugar in the water, it's a higher viscosity. If that's fermented out, the yeast eats that sugar, it becomes thinner, like a reduction, anti-reduction, basically.
So let's talk favorite beers. What's your favorite type of beer, personally?
My personal favorite type of beer? That depends on the week. I love Pilsners. I love clear, crushable, bright beer. But I also love a great hop profile. I love a great stout. So right now I'm drinking Good Kiss. That's my actual sipper on this, set aside from the profiles of what we're doing today. This is my go-to
Hazy?
right now. Changes weekly.
So what gives a beer the hazy appearance? Is that like a filtration thing, or
Hazy comes from a lot of things. It comes from the malts used, and it also comes with the hop additions and how flocculent the yeast is. And what I mean by that is how much the yeast eats and what it leaves residually in the beer.
okay? So this launch juice, I know from Hy-Vee's standpoint of view, this stuff flies off the shelves.
Yeah.
You know, would you consider this your flag beer, or what would you consider your guys' flag beer?
I would consider it in the running for a flag beer. We have rebrewed it, but nothing's set in stone until I know that I'm taking pre-order allocations in a tank for me to brew that beer.
And you guys brew this year round?
As of right now, yes.
All right. Do you guys do growlers, crawlers, and stuff like that here?
Yes, growlers and crawlers, we do. We do both.
What would you give the shelf life on that? So say I came here and do a growler. How fast should I drink it?
Shelf life on that, would be that night. Personally, I think the fresher with a heavy hop beer like that beer, I would say the fresher the better. I wouldn't let that go past 90 days. Although I'm very refined in my process, and I have been QCing beers with equal hop profile or that beer individually, and it has been showing awesome drinkability after 120.
So we noticed that there's a lot of kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, solids in a can of hazy beer.
Yeah.
So what is that, and where does that come from?
Depends on the beer.
Yeah.
Most of it's residual hop, malt, proteins from things of oats and corns of that nature.
Okay. It's all right to drink that stuff. It's just part of the flavor profile of it, or
So that's part of this craze of beer right now, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'll enjoy it for sure. I mean, I come from an older school of brewing where I think beers that are clean and crisp and bright are profile showcase beers. Other people think that the more haze and the more junk and adjuncts that you put into the beer make it a great beer. I'm stuck in the middle.
So when you were starting out, who took you under their wing and tried to help you out? Who's your mentor?
It's a great question. I have 2 guys.
Yeah.
I have 3 guys.
Give them a shout out.
Ryan Clooney, Crystal Lake Brewing, Jim Wolfer, formerly of a million breweries, but now at Berghoff, downtown Chicago, and Rob Hunter, currently Hofbrau New Innovation.
And how do they help you? They just let you tag along with
They're
them?
all world-class brewers that have taught me yeses and nos. I also learned from a guy named Don Carlisle. Came from their school of thought, too. Just been positive influences in my motivation to move forward. But I did get to a certain point where I go from, their student to their peer.
All right. Awesome. All right.
One thing about a good brewer,
Yeah.
a good brewer will never sleep. Constantly refine and get better. There's always other techniques to make things shorter and better and quicker. These are all things that we strive for as brewmasters.
All right. So for better description, sometimes there's a sludge at the bottom of a can. What is that, and do people go out of their way to drink it or avoid it?
The Europeans call it lees. Ale on lees. Lees meaning the rest of the yeast, the trub. Now in the hazy world of beer, we have gone ahead and established this protocol or acceptance of having a ton of proteins and hops and yeast still left in the can. All these factors kind of coincide. So what's in that can? You can email me, Carson at drinkobscurity.com. And if I have that beer, I try to decipher and tell you what it is that's in that can.
I got a question in here. Would Carson consider brewing with treated wastewater that has been distilled and filtered to zero conductivity?
Yes, I would.
You would?
I would. I don't have the ability to do that, but yes, I would.
All right. All right, folks. Let's get to moving on to the 5th beer. It's Tangerine in my milkshake. Let's talk about this one. This one smells like tangerine. Looks like a milkshake. What makes a beer a milkshake beer?
Lactose. Milk sugar.
Milk sugar, lactose.
in my personal opinion.
No, this is excellent. This is like a dessert beer. Yeah. So tell me about this one.
So, adaptation as a commercial brewer. The market calls for a milkshake IPA because it's what the consumer wants. I personally said that's crazy, but challenge accepted. I am a huge challenge guy. If someone makes something really good, I want to try to make it better. So I went ahead and tried to think of what flavor profiles in my mouth match the milkshake. Just so happens that I love ice cream. So I came up with how I can make a fruited milkshake IPA. Let's face it, we're back to IPA because there's a ton of hops in this. How to make those hops not bitter and how to make it match with a creamsicle dream type of reality. And I think I did fairly well. Do I think it's the best beer I've ever made? No, but is it clean and you guys are getting a ride on your palate? Let's taste.
So how do you introduce lactose to a beer? Do you just toss it or
In the boil kettle.
pour it right in there?
Yep, when we're boiling. Yeah, that's where we do it.
And what does that add to the time it takes to get this done, or
No, it's an added sugar
Yeah.
that adds a little reason. Shows itself essentially after the beer.
How long does it take this one from brew to can?
This is an ale, but it has heavy dry hop, so a month from brew to can.
So the milk sugar doesn't get eaten by the
It does. It
does.
absolutely gets fermented.
Yeah.
It gets eaten by yeast, but it also kind of shows itself on a flavor compound. On a trying to think of texturally, it's almost like a viscosity texture,
Uh-huh.
a little creaminess, but the actual creaminess that you're using is a vanilla proprietary extract I have made for me.
So you can say, so tossing milk sugar into it, does that guarantee a higher ABV?
No, it
No.
does not. Maybe a small amount.
Small amount.
Because when we add it, we're not adding it. We're not presenting the sugar to become a higher alcohol percentage. We're adding the sugar in a culinary aspect. We're not looking at for a fermentable sugar to gain alcohol.
Yeah.
Will it jump into that range? Yes, absolutely. But it's not predominantly. It's not considered a fermentable sugar. Yeah, as it is fermentable, but
Yeah.
we're not using it as a when we comprise a recipe. We're not looking to comprise fermentable sugars from milk sugar.
So let's talk ingredients then real quick. Where do you guys source your stuff? Do you try to source local, or are you just
Okay, so I don't. This hemisphere is not good for anything.
Yeah.
Really, to be honest. A few genuses of hops that no one really has the ability to get to where we want it. I buy all my malt through Country Malting Company, and that has subsidiaries of great malters all over the world. But I predominantly use Canadian Malting Company as my base malt. Grease Malting Company out of Wisconsin for specialty malts. Best Malts Malting Company out of Germany. So all over, and then our hops are sourced all over the world as well.
And what typically is the shelf life of this type of beer then?
The milkshake?
Of this of the milkshake one?
Oh, so debatable, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd put it at a 90-day.
90-day.
But through trials and tribs, beer like this could last a lot longer.
All right. This one has, someone says this one has hints of Belgium or a wit when I smell it. What's the smell?
So, unfortunately, I have to disagree. This is a non-phenolic beer. You might be getting what you characterize as like Sunny D.
Yeah.
That's what I get on it. I get like a orange juice, orange Julius type of thing. Where the wit, we have this like spice and characteristic, like that's like spice and clove and banana. Two different yeast strains. I could see though how you, the consumer, are trying to identify your palate and pulling similarities to that. Absolutely, you're not wrong. But on a non-subjective point, I've pinpointed these characteristics on my palate, and I know what I'm getting.
So, how long did it take you to learn to brew? Is this still an ongoing process with you? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah, so I'm a professional brewer. I do this every day. I wake up and I eat, sleep, and shit this career.
Tell me about the first time you got to the point where you're like, okay, I could sell this and make some money.
I was working for another guy, and I was making his beers. And I was a food and bev guy, I was a culinary guy, and I was just like, yeah, man, I can make better beers. It's after I learned how to brew commercially. So I don't think there was like an individual time, but
yeah,
I knew I could do it better than others in my heart, and I still feel that way. I take this shit so serious, this is very, very serious for me, and I feel that I am just out there fighting the good battle amongst great peers. There's great peers and great other breweries, and there's a lot of other breweries that fall short.
All right, 2 more quick questions, and then we'll move on to the next beer. So,
Sure.
Smallest batch
that I've ever brewed?
Yeah.
5 gallons, I think.
5 gallons? Do you remember what it was? Or you just said 5 gallons?
So, a lot.
Yeah. And what was the other one? The temperature for aging beer.
Great question. What kind of beer?
Yeah.
Get at me. Let me know what beer you're actually questioning.
Well, we'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the last beer, folks, and we'll go from here. All right, so this one's called Sock Puppet Party. This one's a personal favorite of mine. Okay. This is beer number 6. It's a New England IPA, 7% alcohol. What's so just dumb it down for us. What's the difference between a New England IPA and West Coast IPA?
I don't even know how to dumb it down because that's oranges and apples, Gus.
Yeah.
2 different, totally different
one is
styles
juicy,
here.
one is weedy.
Well, I would disagree with that. I would say one is juicy and one is semi-juicy but bitter.
Okay. That's all you need to do. All right, so tell us about this beer.
New England IPA style, brewed with Conan yeast. Conan is the predominant New England IPA yeast. It's not very flocculent, means it stays hazy. Galaxy, Mosaic, Citra, and El Dorado hops. They're all kind of like the hype hops. Hype meaning they're the latest and greatest hops that everyone wants. I tried to comprise a beer that would be very similar to this beer called Heady Topper, which is like the original beer of the New England IPA era.
Yes. All right, so obviously there's someone in the chat that works with wastewater. So they're asking, would you brew a 5-gallon batch for the ISAWWA, which is this association, from wastewater treated to zero conductivity?
Yes, and I would need assistance discussing and going into further depth of what exactly it is that you want to achieve. Carson at drinkobscurity.com.
Got that?
Very interesting.
Sharon Waller. Carson at drinkobscurity.com. Let's make it happen. That'd be kind of cool. I would be curious about tasting it.
I love it.
What was the name of the hops again on this beer?
Citra, Mosaic, Eldorado, and she just took the can. I forget. Citra, Mosaic, Eldorado, and Galaxy. These beers are super intertwined, so they become very difficult to remember every little piece. And when you do them one after another, I did hit it right there, right?
Have you guys done any one and dones lately?
I'm sorry?
Have you guys done any one and dones lately? Something that you just put out, brew it
once? Yeah,
a
ton. We're mowing through them. We're doing contracts and collaborations and one-off series and all across the board.
Tell me my most favorite beer from you guys was that Black is Beautiful Braggot. Tell me about the Braggot.
Well, we discussed Braggots earlier. It's a honey and malt fermented beer. The Black is Beautiful was a collaboration in a essentially political and humanity movement from a brewer in Texas, from a brewery called Weathered Souls. And it was basically a beer comprised to, I think in the guidelines, essentially, it's to, celebrate African American community, but also anyone of colored skin, to be honest. And great premise, great beer, great collaboration amongst the brewing world to push that shit out of our lives. I'm not trying to become political, but that's how I feel about it. Great point, and fuck all racist bigots. Sorry.
All right, guys. On that note, we are...
Sorry, guys. Just got to give it to you real.
We are going to...
stand for something or fall for nothing.
Finish up. Like I said, thank you for coming out. Thank you for having us here. Sorry about the late start. Some unforeseen incidents. You guys like these beers? You can come up to the brewery over in Elburn. You can get them to go or sit down and have a drink there. They have awesome barbecue. They have an awesome outdoor beer garden that they haven't really utilized yet. You can also get these beers at Hy-Vee in Sycamore, where I work. Any last questions, parting questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah,
folks?
I'd love to. Any questions, or if you guys want to, you can come see me here at any point in time. If you remind me.
I hope you guys had a great time.
This.
If you want to watch the replay, I'm going to upload this on YouTube. Feel free to comment Subscribe. I'm doing these all the time. And we will call it a show. So, like I said, thanks a lot for showing up, folks. I hope you had a good time, and we will talk to you soon. All right. Thank you, Annie.